Welcome to the Marriage Monday podcast, where Jesus Christ is celebrated and marriage is elevated. Hebrews 13:4 says marriage should be honored by all. This podcast is designed to share biblical principles on how to honor your marriage and the gift that marriage is from God. My name is Dave Jenkins, and I'm your relationship coach and host of this podcast. I help couples, dating or married, to transform their relationship breakdowns into relationship breakthroughs. If you want to know more about what I do, or you'd like to set up your free Restore My Relationship session, go to our website at www.coachingforcouples.com. That's coaching followed by the number 4, couples.com, or give me a call at 469-626-7750. On this podcast, my guest is Pastor Bob Rice. Pastor Rice is a pastor of the Northeast Bible Church located in Plano, Texas. Pastor, it's so good to have you with us. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you doing? It's just a pleasure and honor to be here on this podcast.
Well, the pleasure is purely all ours. I've known Pastor Rice for a number of years, and he has been the founding pastor of Northeast Bible Church for over 12 years. And tell us a little about the church, where you meet at, and what your service times are.
Yeah, we're in Plano, Texas, and we meet at 10 o'clock. We're on 14th Street in Plano, Texas, and you can look us up on nebcfamily.org for more information.
Great. Wonderful church, great teaching ministry, and I just encourage you, if you're in the area or just go on the website, I'm sure that you'll really find some helpful, useful things. Now, Pastor Rice, you and I are going to talk about a topic that's right on target for the time of year we're in. We're going to talk about how you make it holiday joys, or is it holiday stress? This is the time of year where people are going to be traveling, they're going to have visitors, and it's going to be a lot of excitement, but it can also be stressful. So let's take a look at some strategies on how we can be ready for these holidays and stay intact and so forth. So if you don't mind, let's kind of talk about, I'll give you a scenario. Let's say, for instance, my wife and I are traveling and we're going to see the in-laws and so forth. What are some of the things, me as a husband visiting with my wife's parents and other relatives, I should be cognizant of, I should be aware of, and try to make the situation a great time for everybody?
Well, I guess the number one thing is to be attentive. And what it's been my experience, I've been married to one woman for 32 years, is to be in the game and to understand the differences, because every family is different. And so when you, as a young man, I used to play basketball, and I played sometime on a team, and sometimes I played in the street. And it's a little different when you're playing pickup than when you're playing on an organized team. And you need to know what game you're in and what position you're playing. And so I think one of the main things is to get in the game and know what role you're playing. Be yourself, but be attentive and aware of what's going on so that you can fill in, because as in all things in marriage, your first role as a husband is to be a servant. That's your role as a Christian, and that's your role as a husband. And if you see yourself as a servant and you wake up every morning looking to serve, I find that that fills in a lot of the gaps. It reduces a lot of the stress, as opposed to waking up in the morning worried about how you're going to be served, or and I find that if I do that, things are a lot less stressful. It's a little more work, but oftentimes what happens during the holidays and after you leave, the holidays are over, but if you don't properly serve, the negativity that could be caused lingers on through the new year. and it's a funny thing. The biggest day for divorces is the Monday following the first of the year, following the holidays. And that says that a lot of stresses and a lot of things that are going on in the marriage are amplified by our wives' and husbands' vision for the holidays. And sometimes they can cause so much stress, it even leads to divorce.
Oh, that is so true. That is so true. And I think it's so important, every one of those points you talked about, being attentive, being a servant. Every family celebrates a holiday a little different than the other. And so I think it would be unwise as well as unfair for me visiting with my wife's family to try to say, hey, that's not how we do it, or, hey, why don't you guys do it this way? I think it's more important to realize this is the this is where I am, and I think a lot of times when people marry, they forget you marry into a family. You marry into the tradition, you marry into the great things, and as well as the things that you don't quite understand.
And when in Rome, you do like the Romans do, and all you put on your toga and you go with the flow. And
exactly.
I think that the more you're able to do that, the more easy it is for everybody else. If you have just a spirit of appreciation for whatever is, the Bible says for us to, hey, if somebody sets something before you, eat of it, and I think that that's more than just with dinner. It has to do with the whole environment of appreciating others' cultures and even family cultures.
And I think that's a real good point, because deep in there what you just talked about, especially if there are cultural differences. If you're from one culture and your spouse is from another culture, you cannot expect that to match up together. There are going to be some differences. So embrace those.
Right.
Matter of fact, not only embrace them, learn as much as you can in advance so that you don't come in totally unprepared.
Absolutely. And I think another key thing is to just ask your spouse, what do you want from me during this trip? How would you like for me to behave? Because oftentimes, especially with younger couples, you're being shown off to the spouse's family. And you're walking into a whole lot of stuff. You're walking into who and what your spouse's role is in the family. If she's the baby, or her and her sister have some type of rivalry, or if her dad isn't quite impressed with you, I think there's some conversations about, hey, what is it? What role do you need for me to play? What do you want me to do? And get things cleared up, and then you guys work as a team. Because it may seem silly to do such things to a man, but oftentimes it really doesn't matter if it's silly or not. It's just oftentimes just fulfilling her needs and making her feel good about the experience, and you get the rewards in the long run for making your wife feel good.
Oh, that is so powerful. You're right. Know the expectations, as you said earlier. Know your position. Know your role.
Mm-hmm.
Go over that. And I know some people say, "Oh, that's doing too much." Let me tell you something. Just a little bit of preparation, as Pastor Rice has always said, can go a long way in terms of reward and goodwill in the family situation.
Absolutely. The number one commodity in any relationship is trust. It's not money. It doesn't matter how much money you make. It doesn't matter a lot of different things. It doesn't matter. I mean, gifts and all those type of things. They're all nice. It's nice to have money and all that. But the number one commodity is trust. And trust comes from the other person knowing you have their best interest in mind at all times. And as much trust as you can put in the bank, the better off you are. If there's a trust deficit, in the relationship, nothing you say or do will work right. But if there's trust in the relationship, anything you do in the relationship works out well. So every chance you get, and we can't, as men, we can't underestimate the sentimentality of our wives and what little things mean to them as far as how we come off to people that they feel are important. And if we play the role, if we do well, then oftentimes that builds a trust, and we reap the dividends oftentimes for years to come.
Excellent. Well, Pastor Rice, let's just suppose I'm listening to this podcast and I'm thinking to myself, where was this podcast 5 years ago when I walked into all the booby traps, walked into all the landmines, did all the things wrong? Where was this when I needed it? Now, what do I do now? How do I recover?
Hey, it's never too late. You know, the good thing about it is, as every day our spouses kind of renew our contracts, and they're still pushing us to be the type of people that they long for us to be. And they're giving new opportunities all the time. And you'd be surprised how open a spouse is at any time for there to be the change that they're looking, to enjoy. And so it's never too late. And oftentimes the mistakes of the past are in time forgotten and even laughed at. And I remember some of our biggest arguments that we've had in our marriage, my wife and I now, we look back and we just laugh about it. But it wouldn't be funny if I would have never changed.
Right. And I just love your advice there. And I think as you go into these situations, you learn, but you got to own up to it. You got to understand, I did this. It may have been unwillingly, but you still did it. And then make the adjustments, as you said, to make sure that you don't repeat history. That's one of the key things.
Absolutely.
Let's just switch gears just a little bit. All right, so you've been married for a while, but back in the day when your wife said to you, honey, this is going to happen this weekend or this holiday. I've got this many of my relatives coming to visit with us and so forth. And did you guys talk about setting ground rules? Did you talk about any parameters about how long the visit would stay or anything? Or share with me what you do when you got folks coming to your house.
Yeah, I have a good friend, and he has a phrase that I just love and I've adopted for myself. And it goes like this: nothing beats an understanding. And I think that if you lay down your parameters clearly, if you lay down your boundaries clearly, there is it eliminates the chance for failure and for frustration. For instance, when talking to a relative about the visit, they said you could do something like, if you want them to stay over for 4 days, say, hey, that's great. I'm glad you're coming over. I'm looking forward to it. I'm preparing. Hey, I would love it if you guys would come in on Monday until Thursday. Will that work for you guys? And just be clear and have an understanding and have your boundaries set. And then if they have an objection, they want to stay a little longer or stay a little less, then you know that. So, okay, so you want to leave on Saturday and not Thursday. Okay, that's great. And then you can set your mind to Saturday, but then they know that they're going. And then they also know that, hey, this thing is not open-ended. And because some people are less formal than other people. But once you lay down the parameters, they know that you're expecting them to stay or leave on a particular day, and that's nailed in stone, and you can reiterate that, and everybody kind of knows that's what the expectation is. And you have clarity, and you find clever ways to do it and to reinforce it, but it's fully understood, and nobody has to guess.